Let's get more on the lockdown now in Brisbane. My Sky News colleague Peter Gleeson. Gleeson, what's your sense? Will it be extended?
I think it will, Kieran. I think it's inevitable. I mean, this is the greatest public health threat since the pandemic began. I mean, Queensland has been very fortunate. There's been a couple of outbreaks that have been very quickly brought under control through proper contact tracing capabilities. But there's a missing link here, Kieran, and there's 12 days of one particular person, a doctor, who has the very virulent UK strain that was out in the community. The contact tracing capabilities right now are being sorely tested. Now, the real issue, I think, for Queenslanders, and in particular for those in Brisbane who are currently in the lockdown, is why haven't frontline health workers been inoculated, been vaccinated when they are shaping up and treating people with COVID? And I think that's the question that's being raised today. We've also seen a spread down to Byron Bay. Gladys Berejiklian and her New South Wales health officials are quickly trying to come to terms with that. This is what the Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, said earlier today about the fact that half of the frontline workers in Queensland were not vaccinated.
So Dr Young last night is seriously looking at that issue to basically mandate, if you are looking at these after these positive patients, you must be vaccinated. And I think that's very good advice from Dr Young, and that strong advice will get out to the hospitals today.
So there you are, Kieran. I mean, it's extraordinary to think that this wasn't a mandatory part of frontline health workers and the way in which they go about things. To answer your question that you posed earlier, are we likely to see an extension? I think it's almost inevitable because right now we're seeing more and more community transmissions. This government it was re-elected on the back of keeping Queenslanders safe. It will be consistent. I think you'll find that Greater Brisbane will be in lockdown. And there's even speculation, Kieran, that the entire state could be in lockdown by Friday.
Gleeson, Queenslanders, as you touched on earlier, have not had a lot of experience with it. I mean, had a good run. Let's be frank, compared to a lot of other parts of the world, certainly compared to Melbourne. How are Queenslanders reacting? And what are you seeing? Are people wearing masks? What's the reaction been like?
Absolutely. I think, Queenslanders, I think Australians are a really compliant lot when it comes to the pandemic and coronavirus and the health implications, because we know just how dangerous this particular virus is. We saw what happened when it got out of control in Melbourne, 800 odd deaths down there. And we saw, Victoria in lockdown, or certainly Melbourne in lockdown, for very close to 6 months. So most people understand how important it is to get on top of this, but having sort of dodged a bullet, if you like, for so long in so many areas, this is a real 5 minutes to midnight moment, Kieran. And I think, there is general or genuine concern in the community that this thing could be sort of ramping up out of control. The next 48 hours will be incredibly important, but, this is a government that is very easily reconciled with keeping people locked down when the possibility of some sort of spike occurs. So, yes, we have been lucky, but this is a true test. This is probably, well, without question, this is the biggest test for Queenslanders over the last 12 months.